Hi you guys, my name is Lauren. I am going to just try to make some videos and not overthink things. Like I mentioned, I'm a planner. I like to plan everything, but I might sit around forever overthinking, and I think I just need to do and talk and create and share some videos with you guys about some topics that I have on my mind. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. So today I am going on a South Texas adventure to share with you guys some really strange Mandela effects that have been going on for me personally. I have a very bizarre autoimmune issue that I have been dealing with that some doctors think is unique to me because I inherited a genetic mutation in my DNA from my dad's side of the family that might have caused or be connected with some of these autoimmune issues that I began presenting about 2 years ago. But the interesting thing is there's just so much, you guys, I don't even know how to start telling these stories. But the interesting thing is that this autoimmune disorder didn't exist until I went in with it to a neurologist, and then he handed me this stack of papers about this illness called anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis that was supposedly discovered in 2007, and there were 16 people in the world who had been diagnosed with it. And then when I went home and so I was going to be the 17th person. Then I went home to look and more about the illness, and then there were 32 people who had been diagnosed with it, and then 200 people who had been diagnosed with it. So the number of people who had supposedly been diagnosed with this illness just kept changing for me every time I researched it. So that was a little bit confusing. This is a little bit confusing for me because I have been battling a true, serious, severe physical illness at the same time that I was experiencing really intense experiences with the Mandela effect, including seeing things, many things. I have many videos to make, but I would see many things change before my eyes, and not just one thing changing to the next, but at the peak of my illness, I saw just rapidly things changing 4 different ways, 5 different ways changing in front of my eyes. It was really scary. I was really sick. I was in so much physical pain for a long time. I mentioned I had a surgery about it. I've been back and forth to the Mayo Clinic. There are doctors still studying me about this, but at the same time that it's a real illness, it's also a spiritual thing for me. So it's a fine line I'm walking. Anyway, anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, if there's anybody here who is experiencing the Mandela effect and who's having actual physical problems, please talk to your doctors about anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis. Again, it's just too much to explain, but what I saw in my experiences is that anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis will replace previous diagnoses of different mental health issues. I coincidentally was working in the pharmaceutical industry. I was new to the industry, but I was working in patient support right as I got sick with this illness, and I was feeling a little bit guilty, conflicted in my conscience. Because like you guys who are able to see the Mandela effect, I'm also very perceptive, and I was very perceptive to different things that were going on in pharma. Pharma's great in some respects, but not in all respects. And the division I was working in was in CNS, central nervous system, so I called on psychiatrists and neurologists. That was my job. And our product was to treat patients originally our product was to treat patients with schizophrenia, and then we got an FDA approval to treat patients with bipolar 1 disorder, and what our main flagship product was a long-acting injectable 1 month that you would get the injection once a month. And the name of this injectable was Abilify Maintena. Some of you guys might have heard of Abilify, like the tablets to augment if you're taking an antidepressant. And Abilify can be used for like a lot of different things. Maintena was indicated for schizophrenia, and then we got approval for bipolar 1 disorder. And what sort of bothered me was that my sales team began kind of taking this in a different direction, like trying to convince doctors that maybe patients who were presenting with a first episode of depression, maybe they really had bipolar disorder, and maybe they should get this once a month injection of our product. And I had problems with that because, like I mentioned to you guys, my master's degree is in counseling, and I've worked in a few different settings as a counselor, one with seriously mentally ill patients in like a state hospital, but also, I've worked as like a clinical counselor in a university setting, and then worked with kids, just sort of like as a social worker for a big school district. And just because you are depressed doesn't mean that you have bipolar disorder. And technically, to get a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, all you need is one single episode of depression in your whole entire life, and one episode of hypomania, which means just having like more energy than normal in your whole entire life, and then you can get a diagnosis of bipolar 2 disorder. Well, so anyway, my sales team was like trying to tell doctors, these patients who have their first episode of depression, maybe really they have bipolar disorder. And then there's a distinction between bipolar 2 disorder and bipolar 1 disorder. Bipolar 1 disorder is like, it can look a little bit more like schizophrenia, where you're truly hallucinating and you have to be hospitalized because you can't function in your job or with your family. And that, but there's not as much cognitive decline to get a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So schizophrenia, all the way to all of these mental health issues, are sort of on a spectrum. Schizophrenia being like the extreme end, and then like an episode of depression being on the milder other end of the spectrum. Anyhow, so still, so this diagnosis was supposed to be or this product, Abilify Maintena, was supposed to be for schizophrenia, and then we got it approved for bipolar 1 disorder, and then the salespeople were trying to push it to, and if a patient has depression, maybe they have bipolar 2 disorder, so then maybe you should use this really harsh once a month injectable. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, you should not get a 1 month injection of like a $3,000, well, I don't know. No, it's not $3,000. I shouldn't even talk. I'm probably going to get sued by my company that I worked for. But anyway, you don't necessarily need like this harsh injection once a month if you have depression. Well, so I was watching this. I'm new to the industry, and I'm watching this and our product launch for bipolar 1 disorder, and like all of these weird coincidences, random things started happening, and then I got like super, super, super sick. Well, I also had, after cancer, I had a hysterectomy, an emergency hysterectomy, and a lot of other little surgeries along with my cancer battle. But I lost like hormones, and the chemical composition of my body got messed up, and it kind of triggered like an autoimmune flare for me. And I almost got diagnosed with lupus. Now I have been diagnosed with lupus. Don't think of me as lupus, though, because I'm fighting lupus. But anyhow, I had been like experiencing a lot of like physical pain, but I would always ignore my body and just concentrate on my job. But a few weeks before our actual launch, like I started feeling like foggy in my brain. It was weird because normally I'm really like sharp, and it was weird because I was so foggy. But anyhow, with our launch, like right at the time we were launching, right after we launched, I started getting like sicker and sicker. And then there's like a lot of God stories in with this too. I wrote a book. But I came into the awareness like extremely of the Mandela effect. So for me, the Mandela effect has a lot of like spiritual components, but it also has physical, biological components, and that is that I think I have this new autoimmune disorder called anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, and my symptoms, what I initially presented was like I had like a bipolar or a schizophrenia, like I was hallucinating, but I wasn't hallucinating. I was seeing something the same as you guys are seeing. I was seeing something the same as what my physicians were seeing, except they were too scared like to admit that they were seeing it. It's taken everybody some time, but encephalitis is like brain swelling. So like I had so much inflammation in my body that my body was attacking itself, and it started to attack my brain. Biologically is what happened. I had the most massive headache. I lost a lot of cognitive function for a really long time. It was like I had a stroke. It took me over a year and a half to even start to feel like myself again. And I'm just now, like in the past few months, have started feeling like Lauren again, and I'm so happy and I'm so excited. And I so appreciate every person who is experiencing the Mandela effect, because I don't think I could have recovered without you, seriously. This was too much for me psychologically to process. Like, yes, I have an autoimmune issue. Yes, it seems like I'm hallucinating, but yes, it's also real. Just a lot of weirdness. But anyhow, thank you. And if you are having problems with seeing the Mandela effect, you might have an autoimmune issue, so talk to your doctor. You're not crazy. You probably have an autoimmune issue going on. But if you see this, that doesn't mean that you do have an autoimmune issue going on, because I think we're all connected through this like invisible web by our mirror neurons. There's just so much that science hasn't understood yet about the way that we humans work, the way that we're connected. Also, quantum mechanics, the quantum mechanics of all of this, and that I don't know how to explain, but I wanted to defer. I will always defer to my new friend who I'm so excited to meet and know, and I get to meet her in person in November at a Mandela Effect conference. Cynthia Sue Larson. She is a physicist who's been studying the Mandela effect for over 20 years. She's written a few best-selling books. She's awesome. She's also just like a beautiful human being from a heart level also. She's all about the quantum mechanics of the Mandela effect, which y'all have got a lot going on in my life. I don't understand all of the quantum mechanics of it, and I'm not going to try to. But, well, I might try to, but not like her. I'll let her be the expert there. But with whatever autoimmune things that I have going on within me, I might be able to help support what she's been saying. Because it's a blessing and a curse, this autoimmune thing I've been dealing with. The blessing is that hopefully I can help advance science. The curse is, y'all don't know the hell that this has put me through. But this new Cynthia is really excited because this new research came out recently, and I'll put it in the description box below. But new research supporting the fact that a particle can be in multiple states at one time, and the research, like down to dirt, like the very tiniest little molecule can be in multiple places at one time. But what scientists didn't know is, would this apply to larger molecules? Well, I sound so batshit crazy, but yes, it can. And I, especially when I got at the peak of my illness, was in multiple places at one time. I have a million videos that I need to make, but I I don't know, while I'm rambling, maybe I should just say, like, I always remember the thinker, like that. And then when I first got awakened to this, the thinker, like, then did this. And then I started freaking out, like, oh my gosh, did the rapture seriously happen? And like that's what I thought. I thought the rapture happened and that I had like chosen to stay behind to help everybody. That's what I thought, you guys. And then I started getting really scared, like thinking about all of the things that I had read about in those Left Behind books and all the things that I heard different preachers preach about, and like the Antichrist and being forced to accept 666, like all kind of stuff. Okay, so when my brain went there, then the thinker moved and changed like this, like had his hand up like this. And it wasn't just me who saw this. It was like all of my friends, when I first got this illness, like all my friends did this. They would say the thinker did that. And then like people like the next day or even the next hour, I don't know, because it was like the same sequence of days. It was like over 3 days the thinker did this and then this. And then finally when I calmed down and relaxed and like trusted that this was God in charge and God was with me and wasn't going to leave me, then the thinker did this and became a thinker creator. And now everyone, like I check back in on that thinker every once in a while just to see what's up. And like he still like changes position like just a little bit, but he's a thinker creator now. Interesting. Anyway, so that's like an example of how like quickly like I could see multiple things at one time. And if you read my book at some point, there are other examples of how I could see multiple things at one time. And with the Reese's, I've seen multiple things. Now that wasn't all at one time, but I just have memories of each of them. Well, right now, what's weird is I'm just gonna have to like start filming. I don't even know how to explain this, but like I still see different things at one time. So I'm gonna go to Wendy's because I see Wendy's a bunch of different ways. I see both Chuck E. Cheese and Chuck E. Cheese's, which I'm gonna show you guys. I see there's this fast food restaurant called Taco Cabana here in Texas, and that's something that changed for me when I got sick. And I'm gonna show you how, I don't know if you'll see the same thing that I do, but here in San Antonio, like the Taco Cabana signs, they all used to be uniform before I got sick, and now they are in all different, like the logo, like it's all different. Like every Taco Cabana I go to now is different now. And so that's really strange. So I am feeling a lot better, but I'm still on like medical leave from the pharmaceutical industry because my local neurologist, like I just tell him like stuff is changing before my eyes, and I don't know, I'm not really sure what's real to like the dominant population of people because I see it both. And so it's a little bit convenient. So I'm not convenient because it's freaky, and my family thinks well, they do still kind of worry about me and think I'm crazy. But it's terrible because it's ruined, like, well, not ruined because everything happens for a reason, right? But it was hard on some of my relationships. And so there was like a lot of like things about this that was really difficult. But I just keep my mind focused on the positive. And that's how I stay positive, is I refuse to dwell on what's negative, and I force myself to focus on what's good. And what I see good is that this is going to be revolutionary in science, both from a quantum mechanics perspective and from a perspective of healthcare for patients who are sick, who who might have issues with different kinds of mental illnesses that aren't being treated correctly, when what they really have is an autoimmune disorder. There's a movie on Netflix called Brain on Fire, and that is anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, a girl who experienced that, who worked for the New York Times. And that shows you sort of like what the symptoms look like. My family and my husband, like, not to compare or whatever, but I'm just going to tell you guys. My friends and family say that what happened to me, though, from their eyes, it looked a billion times worse than that movie. Just some of the physical symptoms that I was having. It was really, really scary and really severe and really painful. But I'm healing and I'm getting better, and doctors are studying me, and it scares me in some ways, like, not to, like, because I'm a planner, right? And I'm not working right now, and I'm going through a divorce, but I'm taken care of financially. Like, God, everything worked everything out. I had like a really great policy, like, through my pharmaceutical company, and so I'm financially taken care of for as long as I need to get better and feel better. And I'm starting to get there, but I'm still not ready to go back to like corporate America. And I hope that somehow this works out to where I don't have to go back to corporate America. I hope this works out to where I can continue talking and writing about all of my experiences with the Mandela effect, both from a spiritual perspective and from a mental health care perspective. I'll let the quantum physics part go to Cynthia Sue Larson, but I hope that I can validate or just help to validate her experiences. She's had her own spiritual experiences, but she never got like super, super sick the way that I did. So I hope that my story just helps to give even more credibility to what she has been saying for 20 years. Because again, there are doctors all over the country who are looking at what's happening to me and researching, including one of my friends. I won't say your name, but hey, friend of mine, I have a friend who, like a personal friend, who's a neurologist, and he's very Christian, and he sees the Mandela effect, and like he talks about it, and like talks about it with his friends. But friend of mine, other neurologists at Mayo see this, or not neurologists at Mayo, but, well, my neurologist at Mayo does see it, but other doctors at Mayo see it and are like, whoa, and they don't know how to explain it. And a lot of my doctors here see it and don't know how to explain it. But if you're a physician watching this, please start being open and honest about what you honestly remember and honestly see, because we need to explore this from a scientific lens as well. There are a lot of people scared and hurting because they don't understand what's happening, and we need the scientific community to come together on this and legitimately study and explore it. So thank you, friend of mine, and any friends of mine who are physicians who might happen to watch this. So I've rambled for quite a while, and I am going to get going now on my little videos that I'm going to make across my way of all of these random different like Mandela effects and the way that I see it, multiple states at a time, like the particle. Anyhow, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you again in the next videos. Bye!